Aloha, everybody. How is everybody doing today? Today is May 2nd, 2024, and this is Kim Ann Curtin, and I'm trying to get all fancy here with my streaming, but I think I got it. I think I got it. Practice makes perfect, guys. Practice makes perfect. Don't forget that. So I'm curious how everybody is, how the trading has gone this crazy week. It's been a little crazy. All right, I'm trying to find this expanded. Shout out to Kurt, who's trying to help me get better at this. Kurt, I'm looking for that third step, but I don't see it. Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay, dude, the best directions ever. Kurt's the man. Let's just give a shout out to Kurt, guys, for helping me do this successfully in all ways. He is just so fantastic, and I'm so fortunate to have him on this team. Good to see you, Jack. I'm happy you're here. All right, what I missed the first thing you said, best day. What are you saying? Best day of the week? Maybe that's what you said. I hope that's what you said. I hope it's a good week for you, Jack. And I'm glad you like this day. Best day in a while. Okay, good. The my amazing sponsors logo is up there, and I couldn't see what you said, so I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Tina. So good to have you here. Guys, I'm looking now for where I'm going to put my chats. Yeah, Aloha SN. That looks very Hawaii. I think you might be in Hawaii. Can you guys hear the banging? That is a young girl who is meeting with somebody in the office next door, and she's running up and down. We're on the second floor of this building that's like over, I think it's over 80 or 90 years old. So single construction, you can hear everything. I hope you guys are doing good today. I didn't even put on any lipstick today for you guys because I ran out of time. But my lips are a little chapped, so I'm going to just put on some gloss. I hope you guys will forgive me. Now I look like a TikTok videographer, right? Because they're always putting on their makeup. I don't know why. That must not do well on TikTok. But they'll like be talking about things that have nothing to do with makeup, and they'll be putting on makeup while they talk to us. But my lips are actually quite dry today. And so there you go. So today I just wanted to, just remind everybody that this is something that I do almost weekly. I actually might be moving to every other week, and I wanted to kind of just take a vote amongst you guys to see what you think about that. Just in the interest of my schedule, it's busy sometimes, and like last week I couldn't come, but I really love coming to these. I love trying to allow some of the tools that I have acquired through the journey I've had of my life. And the more I feel, the more people have those tools, the easier their life will be, not to mention anything they do professionally, which for all of you guys is trading. And I've seen these tools work for the clients I've worked with. I've been a coach for over 18 years, which is just mind boggling to me. And the reason I became a coach was I had hired a coach myself personally because I had had so much therapy, and some of that had been effective, but I also felt I was at the crossroads with the position that I had. And good, Jack. Okay, good. I'm glad you get something every week. That's good to know. So I hired a coach, I don't know, I want to say 20, 22 years ago. And it was so life changing. And so for me, dramatically better than the therapy I had had, that I just was like, "Holy crap, this is got some power. I have to do this. Like, I have to give people these tools because this is life-changing." And so that is when as Joe Campbell calls it, he says to find your bliss, to follow your bliss, right? So that I had been looking for the bliss. I was very curious my whole life what that bliss was. And then when I found coaching, it was like instant recognition, like a bolt of lightning came out of the sky and smacked into me. And it was just instant recognition that that was what I was here to do. And, before that, I was, work very hard at a hedge fund, and definitely being very strategic, but there was more for me. I knew that. I just didn't know what. And then, fortunately for me, I found it. And, 18, 19 years later, whatever it is, here I still am. So that's a little bit about me. And ultimately, that is why I do what I do and why I come to these calls. Obviously, I have paying clients, but I try to be a contribution to the community as well. And again, just a big shout out to Centerpoint for making these lives possible. Their sponsorship of these lives, is making me be able to do them. So, what I do want to do is just share with you guys this particular link if you want to, uh, you know, take advantage of the fact that I have a nice special link from Centerpoint for you guys. I would do that and see if what your needs are a match with them. Their customer service is off the charts, and their heart and their care is it knows no bounds. I really, really respect, admire their approach, their philosophy, and how they treat their clients, their traders. So, anyway, I hope you'll check them out. Just put that in the chat box, the link for you guys to go see. I have a special offer. I think it's 60 days of no fee if you use that link. So, tell them the Wall Street Coach sent you. All right. So, today, I thought we would talk a little bit about meaning and how all of us are meaning making machines. And of course, if there's anything you guys want specifically spoken to or coaching on, please put that in the chat box and I will speak to it. I have an acceleration course right now. We're 3 weeks in, and in that course today, that was one of the topics that came up, and it just reminded me about how easy it is for us to attribute meaning to most or all of our actions, of all the things that occur to us. It's how people are built. One of the things one of my teachers taught us this great catchphrase, Werner Erhard. He's the creator of what is now known as Landmark Forum. And he said that human beings are meaning making machines. And so, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that we're always making up a meaning, right? And so, I want you guys to think about the meanings that you have made in your life, certainly about your trading. And that potentially begins to open you up to how those meanings can make or break you. And that's what's so fascinating in my experience. My experience is that most times, because our inner saboteurs or inner gremlins uh, you know, are in the microphone running the show in our head, and most of us haven't even had them identified, right? Or if we did, it took years of listening to these other inner saboteurs that were just constantly telling us these meanings. That what can happen over time is that you can wind up having very, what's the word I want to use, destabilizing meanings. You can wind up having meaning that demoralizes you. So I'm going to ask you guys, like, can you think of one of the meanings that you have created for, let's say, a trade that you lost, or let's say a friendship that you lost, or a job that you lost, or you know, I don't know, uh, something of value, piece of jewelry that you lost, right? I want you guys to just kind of get into the headspace of looking at, thinking about, the guy or the gal who didn't call back or the one who ghosted you. You created a meaning, a story about what happened in all of these scenarios. We all do this. But the key is to recognize, oh, this is made up. I made this up. I've created meaning to it. And the whole point of this is, and this is what Werner says, is if everything is made up and the one you've made up makes you feel like garbage, make up another one that makes you feel better. It's all made up anyway. So why would you keep telling yourself one if it's all made up? That makes you feel like garbage. Make up one that makes you feel really good. So, it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek phrase, but it helps us loosen the ties that these, restricted or held back stories like keep us stuck in thinking, we're not enough, we're not worthy, uh, we're stupid, we're too fat, we're too thin, we're too this, we're too that, we're too tall, we're too short. Like all of this stuff is just a whole bunch of stories, a whole bunch of things that are just made up, but become the cornerstones we built our houses upon, ourselves upon. So I don't know if anything will come to mind for you guys off the top of your head. But I would love for you guys to take that on and take a look at it. And maybe this is just about you taking a look in this moment over some of what happened to you this week. Or maybe it's about you looking at, stories you've carried with you for a couple of decades. Because often what happens is these stories, uh, a lot of them are written when we were little, when we're kids. And unfortunately, we don't have anybody interrupt the pattern, usually till quite late. And then we're living as though those stories are the truth, as opposed to just, made up ones that, either our gremlins came up with or we came up with to try to cope. And that is ultimately what I hope this work does at a minimum for you guys, is it starts to open up your eyes to any of the stories you have that are keeping you limited, that are keeping you in a glass jar. I'm sure most of you guys have heard that little story about, when we put little flies in a glass jar and we keep it covered, right, for a particular period of time. After whatever length of time, if we take that lid off, very infrequently will those little creatures even check to see if the top is still on. They just get stuck in what's familiar, what they know. They probably tried a few times to fly out when the cover was on and couldn't. But even though now the cover is off, they operate as if it is still on. And this is true for all of us. Many times, a lot of us are not even noticing that the cover has been removed, that the people that perhaps, encouraged us to think that way have left our life, or at least left the house we're living in if we're really, lucky to get out in one piece, right? So you got to really ask yourself, what are the stories I have? What are the meanings I have? What are the little kind of like, short stories I've written about this, that, or the other thing. And that is what I would love for you guys to look at. All right. So that is a little bit of homework if you want to take that on for either next week or the week after, depending on which one I can come back for. I'm not sure yet, but I'll let you guys know probably early next week. But as I recall, one of the things I requested everybody come to today's call with was a brag, something they're proud of, something you feel good about, something you did well. Doesn't have to be Kim, I ended world hunger. It just is a small brag or a big brag. I mean, look, maybe somebody here wants to take that on. I would love to see that happen. But I want you to just say something good about yourself. I want you to share with all of us one brag, like whatever it is. Maybe it's trading specific. Maybe it's somebody that hasn't been nice to you that you finally stood up for yourself to. I don't care what it is, but I'd like to know. Tina had discipline in her trading. That is fantastic. Congratulations, Tina. And if you're willing to tell us or share with us, Tina, how is it that you saw that discipline happen? What's an example of that discipline in action? I would love to hear what that is. Jack says, I helped someone with dinner they couldn't afford. Jack, that's awesome. What a beautiful thing to do. I'm curious, Jack, if you'll speak to how did that make you feel? Let me know if you're willing to share that with us. I would love to know. Anybody else have a brag? These are great brags, Tina and Jack. I want to hear all the brags. We got 38 people, so there's 36 people who still have to tell me something they want to brag about. You don't have to come in. You don't have to put it in the chat if you don't want to, guys. But I'd love for you guys to get comfortable bragging because I don't think most traders are able to brag, are comfortable saying good things about themselves. It felt good, Jack says. I'm sure it did. Jack, I'm going to just tell you, share with you and everybody else here a story of something that happened once to me. I was, back in New York City, and I was I was still working at the hedge fund, so I was doing well financially. Tina says, I've not been taking trades without a clear plan that I can actually stick to, plus study. My trading psychology needs improvement. Okay, Tina, but I don't want you to undermine your brag. So notice that, Tina, you were disciplined. I want you to stay focused on that. I want you to brag without a but, without a if only. I want you to have a brag just like you did before, right? Your first initial message was discipline in trading, that you were proud of that. Now, this last one, it sounds like, well, you weren't taking trades without a clear plan that you actually stuck to, but this time you did. So, do you hear the difference between that versus this one, where you're talking about a place that is still problematic for you? Like, this is part of why bragging is so important. I don't want you to be like, well, I did great today, but yesterday I didn't do so good. No, I did great today, period, full stop. All right, Tina, write that again. I'm going to give you a challenge because I want you to brag, full stop. No but, no caveat, no softening it, no, good. So write it again, Tina, with the full stop. I want you to feel that in your body, what that feels like to just brag with a period or an exclamation point. All right, so I'm in New York City. I'm going to tell you this little story because it's a fun story and because Jack just reminds me of it with treating somebody who couldn't afford dinner. So I'm so I'm looking for this white coat, right? I love fashion. I went to Fashion Institute of Technology. I'm always into clothes and style and I enjoy it. So it's one of my pleasures. So I saw this cover on Travel and Leisure magazine, this white coat, and I freaking loved it. And an extra study time with a focus on training psychology. That's it, Tina. Good job. High five. High five. Good job. What does that feel like, Tina? Putting that into one sentence, like owning that prayer. Tell me how that feels, because that is what this is about. That statement is going to uplift you. It's going to fill your gas tank. It's going to make you feel proud of yourself. It's going to make you be like, yeah, look at that. Look what I did. That is important. We all need to feel proud of ourselves. We all need to feel that sense of self-respect. So don't rob that from yourselves, guys, by, including something. Didn't it feel better? It felt more like, what's the word? Like nourishing, right? It's like, you get a bite of a piece of bread, but you don't get the meal. You're not going to be satiated. You're not going to be full. And that's what happens when we say, well, I did this great and I did this shitty. Like, and I'm not talking about denial, guys. I'm not talking about not being with the hard truths about yourself, but there's a time and a place for them. And in the middle of bragging is not one of those times, nor the place. You got to own what you guys do well. Full stop. You got to be in a place where you can compliment yourself and you can see what you have done right, what you have learned, what you are proud of. Full stop. It's important. It's important for all of us. And that's you meeting one of your needs. And the internal is just as important as the external. So good job, you, Tina, for taking that on. All right. Here's the story. It's called the white coat story, right? So I'm looking for this damn white coat. I traipse all over New York City trying to find it. I cannot find this coat. I want that coat that's on the cover of that stupid magazine. Finally, after months of searching, I find this white coat. It's in Bloomingdale's. I love Bloomingdale's. Should have gone there first. I don't know why I did it. Anyway, get the coat. And this morning, I'm walking to the office. My office was on, what was it, 54th, I think, 53rd, 54th, between Park Avenue. Park Avenue and what was it, Madison, right? That's where my office entrance was. This was King Street Capital. That was the hedge fund I was at the time. So I lived on 69th and 3rd, so I'm walking to work. Big mistake. That day it was frigid cold. I mean, really cold. It gets cold in New York, but this day was especially cold. But I've got my white coat on, which is very warm. It's like boiled wool or what have you. I've got on cashmere slacks. They were gorgeous. I had all white on, guys. I had a white cashmere sweater. I had beautiful wool and cashmere slacks. I had really nice boots. And I had on even a white beret, if you can believe it. My girlfriend had given me that, Christine, for my birthday. And this white coat, right? So I am white, right? Which most people in New York, they all wear black. I don't really wear black clothes, but anyway. So I'm walking on this frigid cold day. It's early in the morning, maybe 6. I don't get my desk usually 6:37. So it's probably 6 o'clock in the morning. But a lot of the cabs get pulled, right? So there's no subway really between these two stops. So it's just easy to walk or catch a cab as soon as I came out of my building. But I didn't, right? I said, I'm going to walk. But then I regretted it because it was so freaking cold. So I'm walking. I'm trying to get a cab, but it's too late now. They're all taken because time of day it's early. Everybody's using them. So I walk past this church, and on the left, this church, it's on Park Avenue. There's some stairs that come down. So unfortunately, this was many years ago, but we have to this day, like New York has a very large population of people who don't have homes. So there's a man sleeping in this huge refrigerator box. And it just so happens that as I'm passing him, he pops his head up like it was a full-on refrigerator box that he had Jimmy rigged to try to sleep in that night. And as I said, it was the most freezing morning we'd had in a while. I mean, it's always cold in the winter, but this was especially cold. And as this man pops his head up and out of this box, as I'm passing, he proceeds to give me the most genuine, authentic sincere smile you could ever imagine. You couldn't help I couldn't help but smile back. Like it was such an intoxicating smile, right? And I was like, it's also I lived in New York City, right? Hawaii is different. People smile at each other here, but not in New York. And I had already just taken the elevator down to my building. You could say hello to people on that elevator. They wouldn't even have responded in New York City because everybody's in their own little world. And this is before cell phones, guys. It's just, Anyway, this guy gives me a smile like he lives in Hawaii, but he's just woken up in probably like 10 below zero weather on the street. And, I got a few steps ahead. I was probably, another half a block ahead. I was like, good God, this man, like he's waking up in a box on the sidewalk and he looks, that smile is like, I should have that smile on that I'm dressed in these beautiful warm clothes, that I slept in a bed last night. Like this man, you would think has no business being able to smile like that. And yet look at this smile he just gave me. So, quickly I look in my wallet and see how much money I have. I like had a $20 bill, whatever. So I was like, I have to go get this to him, right? Because like this man, like what a smile he just gave me. Like he just gave to me this man who has nothing obviously to give financially, right? Financially. That's the key word. So anyway, I go back to him, and this is what happened. Jack, I hope you're still here, even though this seems like a really long story. So this is what happens. I hand him the 20, and this man looks at me and he says, "It's like that." And I'm like, "It's like that? Does he mean what I think he means?" And I was like, "It's like that." He meant, are you in a position? You're in a position to give me $20. That's what he meant. It's like that for me. You're in a position to give me that $20. That's what it's like that for you. Like that's what he and I was like, it's like that. Because I was like, yeah, I can easily give you $20. It's not gonna scratch my nose at all, right? Like he's acknowledging that. And you know what he said after that? I am so happy for you. I was like, what? He's not happy he's getting $20. No, he's happy I can afford to give him $20. I'm like, who is this guy? He's smiling like this unbelievable smile on a frigid cold day that he's just woken up on the streets. And now I'm about to give him $20 and he's not happy himself getting $20. He's happy that I can afford that. I was like, this is crazy, right? I'm trying to process all this. And then he says, I make him take it. Of course he takes it. He's not resisting taking it. He's just sharing his happiness that I can afford to give him this. And then this is what he says. Maybe next time you'll give me a hug. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys. I thought, oh my God, my white coat. This man was so dirty, like grease. His clothes were covered in soot. He has no home. He has not showered. His ensemble was as dirty as they come. And I'm ashamed to say it, but I can't help but tell you the truth. I thought, God, I got that damn white coat on. But I also thought, there's no way I'm not giving this man a hug because everything he has just given to me. So he's standing in his box and I opened up my arms. He looked at me like, you are kidding. And I was like, nope, bring it in. And we hugged. And while we hugged, he says, and you even smell good. Of course, I had perfume on. And then, the embrace stopped and he looked at me before I walked away and he was like, I'll see you on the other side one day. And I was like, I will see you too. And it was just this beautiful, incredible moment. And here is like the woo woo part of this story. So, I got another 10, 15 minutes to the office and I'm high as a kite. I'm so completely charged up by this incredible experience that I just had, right? Some people would say, oh, I gave him something. No, he gave me something, right? So, of course, what do I think? I'm walking now into my office and I'm thinking, I better go to the bathroom and look in the mirror at what is going to be on this coat of mine. I'm going to have to find a specialty dry cleaner to get the grease out. The coat was brand new, guys. It's my first time wearing it. And I get into the bathroom, this huge mirror, and I turn around. I look at this coat, and guys, there was not one mark on that coat. Not one. I can't even tell you how that's possible because of how and the way this man's clothes were. But it is what happened. And it was in that moment that I thought that was the universe just checking that my priorities were in order, right? That even though I love this damn coat, I didn't let it get in the way of connecting with another human being. And maybe on another day, I wouldn't have done that. I don't know. It's not me. It was a check on having my priorities for myself, not because anybody else, is going to hold me to them, but how I choose to live, what kind of person I want to be. Do I want to be a person who won't connect with somebody who's clearly a beautiful spirit in that moment because of XYZ? No, I want to be the kind of person who is going to take whatever that cost is, right? The hell with the stupid coat. But it meant something to me, right? In that moment, but I was able to, by the grace of God, make that distinction when push came to shove. But here's the thing. Why do I tell you guys this story? I tell you this because there are opportunities. There are going to be these crossroads, these tests, if you will, from the universe. Like one of my spiritual teachers calls them, I love this word, he calls it a pop quiz. Remember teachers used to give us a pop quiz in school? We'd get they'd be like, oh, it doesn't count to your final grade. And we were like, bullshit, it doesn't. Like we knew. We're like, oh, another pop quiz. I didn't study. I'm not ready. Right? This is just the nature of what happens. So I just want you guys to think about what and where are these places for you that you want to pay attention to now. Why? Because you want to start to really see what and your priorities are. What are the things that matter to you? What are the places that you want to be able to stay true to no matter what? And that's, kind of like what I'm hoping this, initiates. And I'm talking about this especially because Jack's sharing what he did with getting food for somebody who couldn't afford it. These are part of the things that help us know who we are. And then what happens, guys, is you can lean in on these particulars about yourself when the going gets hard, when you face challenge. These are the foundations, even that brag, Tina, right? These are the things you can hold on to in the midst of a storm. And also, it's always good to have these kind of situations happen as a check-in, right? The book that I wrote, Transforming Wall Street, repeatedly, the 50 Wall Streeters that I interviewed specific to, how they were able to succeed in finance with their integrity came down to these moments, these choices they made. I remember John Allison, he was one of the longest CEOs of BB&T Bank. I think it's down in Charlotte or somewhere down south. Uh, and he was working first as an accountant at another organization before, way before he became CEO, right? He's like his first job kind of out of school. And I think it was an accounting firm. If not, he was definitely one of the accountants, and he put the books together, and went to whoever this one supervisor was. And the supervisor told him to change the date on the books that he just kept. And he was like, excuse me? Like, like this is a month end, and that's gonna be the last day of the month. Like this, like how can you ask me to change the dates? But this is what this guy used to do all the time to make his, probably profit margins look higher than they were to the people, either their shareholders or their investors or what have you. And he could tell in that moment that if he didn't do what this guy wanted him to do, he was going to be fired. So if I recall correctly, it's been a while since I read his story in my book, but I'm pretty sure what happened is he went back to his office. He processed this, right? He got like, wow, if I can do this, which is out of integrity for me, or I'm probably going to be fired. So I think he said that he like went home and processed it. I think he even maybe talked to his wife because he was pretty sure he was going to not do it. And, he was like, I can't do that. Like, that's just not who I am. And I'm pretty sure that was what wound up happening is he got fired. But he was like, as he told me this story, he was saying, Kim, that set the trajectory of the rest of my career because it forced me at a young age, right? As I recall, he talks about how the stakes were lower, right? He wasn't, with a whole bunch of kids, years, career decades into this position. He could start again. Like there wasn't as much burden on him because he was young. And he said, that choice allowed me to get that path that I ultimately took, which got him to this incredible position and leadership role. But he's like, but that he attributes to kind of like his upbringing and his philosophy. He was like, I knew who I was, right? He's like, and because I knew who I was, when that guy asked me to do something that to me was out of integrity, I didn't even really have to think about it. Like, yeah, I thought about the consequences, but he's like, I knew in my soul, my heart, that I was not going to do what he was asking of me. And he was, of course, advocating that willingness to know who you are. And I guess that's what that story is all in service to, right? That's my brag for the day, guys, right? I'm proud of myself that when push, as much as I like fashion, as much as I love that white coat, I'm proud of myself that that day I kept myself in check for what actually matters, which was the connection with that man, with that human being, and not whether or not the stupid coat, got ruined or not. And what I want you guys to all start to do is step into, do you know who you are? What they say, like, do you know what you will live for, and do you know what you would die for? Do you know what you want your life to be made of? What are the foundational pieces that you want to stay true to? And especially for traders, I have to speak to this too, because I feel this is a big part of the challenge, is so many traders come into it because they want freedom, because they actually want to, have the ability to be in charge of their schedule and or their financial well-being. And yet there are so many traders that struggle with getting off their desks, right? And if you don't see the incongruence of that, y- 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 you're you want to ask yourself, like, what is all the effort you guys are doing coming to this, right? What are you coming into this room for? Because you're hoping to get the like a tool or a tip that'll help you up level yourself, right? All the screen time you guys have had, all the books you have read, all the Discord rooms you've been in, all the trading gurus you've worked with, right? Or about to work with, like, all of this is in service to something you're building, and that includes you. So you want to ask yourself, what is it in service to? What is this life that you're trying to build for yourself? What are the foundational pieces? And the other book, too, I'm going to speak to is John Bogle's book called uh, Enough. And that's that famous story, which I'm sure you've all heard, which is, it's hedge fund managers at a party with Joseph Heller, who's the author of Catch 22, which was a famous novel that did quite well, sold a lot of copies back in the day. I think this was in the 70s it came out. And at this party, this hedge fund, guy says to Heller something like, I don't know, there's a conversation among a few guys, and one of the guys like, no matter how much you did, Heller, with your sales of your book, like, it'll never reach the levels of monetary, success, this hedge fund manager had. And the man wasn't there anymore. Heller says to the guy, "Yeah, but I have something he might never have." And the guy was like, "What? What could you possibly have that, like, this the richest man at the party or the East End of Long Island could never have? Like, he's got more money than God. He could get." And Heller said, "Enough." That's what Heller had. Heller had enough, right? And that's what I want you guys to ask yourself, like, what does enough look like for you? Nobody can tell you what it looks like for anybody. Everybody has to make that choice for themselves. But you guys want to ask yourself that, because as you build yourself up, as you encourage yourself, as you study, as you learn, remember, what is it in service to, right? I did a great Twitter space yesterday with Pax, Matt Pax, Kena. If you guys haven't listened to it yet, I strongly recommend it. Anthony Crudelli came in an hour into it. It's a long Twitter space. I think it's 2 hours and 25 minutes. And that got recorded after I interviewed Pax for about 45 minutes. So I was with him for like 3 hours yesterday. And I love this man. He is such an incredible human being. And he talks too about how he had to do the work on himself to make sure his sense of identity did not get collapsed with this monetary number. And he says over and over again that he has wealth, and he distinguishes that word from, what is in his bank account. He said, wealth to me, Kim, is my health, is my love for my family and their love for me. He just went on to the sense of how he feels about himself, right? His mind, like, all of these things constitute his wealth. And that is what I just want you guys to always remember, right? Do you currently have, your health? Do you currently have someone that you love and that possibly loves you, even one? Like, what are the places right now, guys? You are wealthy. And it doesn't mean monetarily, but it might. Where are the places you are very, very wealthy already? And pay attention to that too. Pay attention to that too. All right. I went off on a tangent, And I'm going to lay it all on you, Jack. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you, Jack. I love that story. I hope you guys like that story. It was a really, it was a crossroads for me because it really helped me get connected, to that pop quiz. I felt I passed the pop quiz, and I'm proud of myself that I did. So, any other brags? What did you guys succeed at this past week that you're proud of? Maybe it was a pop quiz from the universe. Maybe there was something you did that has nothing to do with trading, or maybe it was something you did with your trading. I would love to hear something you guys are proud of. And like I told Tina before, I want you to brag about it with a period at the end, not a comma. Dale, enough. That is a great question. But what if we think is enough? I'm not sure what you mean, Dale. Put that sentence, that second, that is a great question. But what if we think is enough? But I believe I need the rest of that sentence, Dale, to respond to it because I'm not sure what you mean. All right. So don't mind that accidentally hit enter. Oh, okay. So you're writing it out. Okay, understood, Dale. Take your time. No rush. So what about you guys? What feels like enough to you guys? Do you guys have a dollar amount? Do you have, things that you are using, rulers that you guys have outside of money that allows you to define your enoughness? That is the name of a book by John Bogle. And I got to interview John Bogle as well in my book, Transforming Wall Street. And I am looking now. I'm pretty sure that is the title. I don't know if it has a subtitle. Let me look that up quick by Bogle. And do you guys know who Bogle is? Oh, it's Enough: True Measures of Money, Business, and Life. And John Bogle passed away not that long ago, maybe 6 years ago or so. He was the founder of Vanguard. He was in his 90s. I got to interview him in person at the Vanguard offices on July 4th weekend. He was, late 80s when I met him. And I met him, this almost 90 entrepreneur who started Vanguard back in the day, right? Obviously a billionaire. And do you know when it was that I interviewed him? 4th of July at his office at the corporate headquarters of Vanguard. Okay. This man is in his early 90s. And it's the 4th of July week, and the whole office was deserted except for his secretary. Poor girl. And him. He was in there working. I came in and got, a couple of hours with him, but he was working. He was happy. He loved what he did. So, like, that was his enough. Like, he didn't want to take off for 4th of July. He wanted to work because he loved his company. He loved what he did. He was a prolific author. He has so many books. I read so many books from John Bogle, but that one, Enough, is so good, guys. You'll love it. All right, Dale says, I feel what we may think is enough now, but when we reach that level, it isn't and could be an ongoing struggle of what is enough. Dale, I think you're correct. And this is part of why it's so important to define what enough does mean to you guys right now. Because remember, enough is not necessarily monetary, right? It's more than that. Snazzy vegan life. Hi, Kim. It's been a few years since we met at an affiliate summit. So good to see you here. I remember you. I honestly, you know how long that is? I think it is, I want to say 17 or 18 years ago that we met there. How is Sean and Missy? God, I love them. Sean Collins. I love Sean. Tell Sean if are you still with those? Are you still an affiliate? It's so good to have you here. Thank you for saying hello. I'm so glad you're here. Sean Collins, guys. Wow. That is a blast from the past, and it's so nice to see you. Free hugs. That's right. Did you come to one of my free hugs movements? I hope you did. That was so much fun. So, yeah, so that's also part of what was so funny, guys, as I tell you that story about that man who I gave the hug to, you know, he didn't expect me to hug him. But the funny part is that I had already started to be participating in that free hugs movement. So I am a hugger. I was a hugger. That's right. You came to Columbus Circle. I remember that. In fact, I think 2013. God, that's so crazy. I'm so happy that you remember that. I am pretty sure there is a clip on YouTube, because Mark Orama, Oromaner, I think is how it's spelled. I'm not sure how you say it. Mark used to come to Columbus Circle all the time. He used to come to all my free hugs. So first I did it by myself for like I think a year or two, and then I was like, I need to have more people. So I used to do it. Where was I originally? I think I was on Fifth Avenue and entrance into Central Park. But then I thought Columbus Circle is like a hug, right? It's a circle, and the entrance to Central Park, there is this sculpture that her hands are wide open, like she's about to hug somebody. Oh, if you could share the photo here, I would. Oh gosh, I wish. Hold my mimosa. I think I post on my Big City Vegan YouTube channel. Perfect. Let's see if you can find it. But there is this video of us hugging. I think Mark put that. There was a young boy. I don't know if you were there then, but there was a young boy. He was probably 6 years old, and he came up with a rap about free hugs. And Mark got it on camera and put it into a video. So I think it's probably not a video. It's probably a bunch of still pictures. Um, but weave together, and then we have this kid singing this song he just kind of pulled out of nowhere and wrote the song. And in that day we got to hug. Queen Latifah came by, so we had some famous hugs too. But this hug movement, guys, I'm so glad you're here, that you remember this. So this free hugs movement started by this guy, One Man. That was his, moniker out there. If you guys remember Sick Puppies, do you remember that band? This is back like maybe 2000, 2005, something like that. They had a song called, what was it called? Do you guys remember the Sick Puppies? It was like a huge hit. It was, God, what was the name of the song? So anyway, okay, she's going to post it. She's going to post it. Okay, great. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. All right, I'm gonna have to go to it after this because it'll take me to a new screen, but I'm so glad you put the link there. Um, Thank you for finding that. That's awesome. So Sick Puppies had this song. It was a cool song, but they overlaid the song for the video of One Man doing this free hugs movement. I think it was in Australia or New Zealand, but he took it around the globe. And then people, of course, saw this free hugs movement. It was just a sign you would hold, just said free hugs. And then you just went to public places, spots, and people came in for hugs. It was just it was a beautiful song, wasn't it? I agree. I love that song. It was a pretty popular song for a while. It was like, one hit wonder band, but it put this hug guy on the map. God, we could use a free hug movement now with all the craziness in the world. We need to just go back to hugging each other. There were no cell phones then, guys. So maybe that's the problem. We got to get rid of the phones. Anyway, that guy, I saw that guy. I saw that hugs movement, and that free hugs movement is the reason I wound up doing free coaching and why I'm doing the free coaching here, guys. The circle is complete. And Snazzy Vegan Life, you have just brought that to my attention. So thank you for that. Because that free hugs movement, I mean, hugging people in New York City, guys, can you imagine? Like that it takes, oh, good. Thank you so much for finding that link. Excellent. So glad. So glad. I'm going to have to look at that too. I haven't seen it in years. So doing that free hugs movement, right, facilitated a certain level of gutsiness for me to take something on kind of bodacious. So when the 2008 crisis began, right? It was actually kind of 2007 before 2008 came. It was October 7th, 2008. That was the day the market dropped like 600 points. That was when it officially, you know, began the '08 crisis. So but you could feel it before, it was coming, right? People that were paying attention, like what's his name? Barry. Like what's his name? That took that's the short. What is it? The Big Short is featured in. So he saw it coming, obviously. But that is why I was inspired to go do free coaching. My girlfriend, I had just started my business maybe a year or a year and a half prior. So what was that? 2006 is when I started my business, guys. So, it's a long time, 2005, something like that. The '08 crisis starts to be afoot. I'm struggling to get business because everybody stopped spending money right before that crash. And then certainly after that crash. And basically what occurred was my girlfriend, we were going to the beach. I was bitching and moaning about like, oh my God, I just walked away from this incredible hedge fund where I was making these unbelievable salary. Have I lost my mind? Like, what am I going to do now? And all of the business, like, I was doing okay. I wasn't, killing it, but I was doing all right, for an entrepreneur for that first year and a half. But then that summer of '08 came and like everything started to fall off cliff. And I was having a freak out session. I was like, what have I done? Oh my God, if this is going to be a recession or depression, what am I going to do? All right. So Snap says, oh, Cal, stop commenting here on this. I'm sure you have something else you plan to talk about. No, it's fine. It's okay. I'm sure you're better at names than I am too. Sharon. It's so good to see you, Sharon. Thank you so much for being here. No, it's a fun story. And I'm so glad that you brought it up because it is how I went up doing this free coaching down on Wall Street. And guys, that's how I got the name the Wall Street Coach. I didn't come up with that. I was coaching outside the stock exchange at lunch hour every week for a year. And one of the reporters that saw me down there in the middle of the '08 crisis, I was doing 20-minute sessions, guys, one-on-one on the bench right on the corner of Broad and Wall Street. There's these benches there. I was just sitting there with a sign that literally said the coach is in, like Lucy and the Peanuts, the doctor is in, but instead it said the coach is in. And it was all because of that free hugs movement. If that free hugs movement, I hadn't done that and already kind of put myself out there, I don't think I would have had the guts to do the free coaching. And it was that Chris Taylor, one of the reporters, saw me coaching and he's like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, I'm coaching people. And I had like lines of people waiting to talk to me because people were getting fired, like, traders off the stock exchange floor, CEOs, bike messengers, waitresses, like people, everything was in disarray. And I'm just sitting there. So I was coaching people 20-minute increments like that, like move on, move on, move on. And Chris walked by. He's like, what is going on here? Started talking to me. I said, look, I'm coaching people. This is what I was born to do. It's been slow. I thought, where can I be a contribution? So I thought, well, hell, Wall Street's hard on a good day. Never mind now. So that's how. And then he wrote a piece about me that aired. I think it was on Associated Press. I think he did work for Associated Press, ran the story. And then it was in, CNN had a video clip of me too. And Chris called me in the story, the Wall Street Coach. And I read that piece. And I remember calling my girlfriend Wendy. And I was like, he called me the Wall Street Coach. I was like, should I run with that name? And she was like, hell yeah, you should. She's like, go to GoDaddy and buy it. And I bought that domain for $8.50. And here I am, guys, all these years later. And now I have it trademarked. I have the Wall Street Coach trademarked, but I did not come up with that myself. That was all thanks to Chris Taylor, my favorite reporter of all time. So that's my little story. Man, you guys got a lot of stories today. I don't know where they all came from, but there you go. So hopefully some of these have served you. Thank you, Sharon, so much for coming here. You brought a lot of joy just thinking back to that free hugs movement, and I'm so happy. We'll have to do that again one day at Columbus Circle. It's been a long time, and thank you for finding those links. I can't wait to rewatch them all. And at the end of the day, I guess what that story tells us is you know, like I can remember thinking like, what's the worst that could happen? When I was doing the free hugs or doing the free coaching outside the stock exchange, like I remember thinking like, this could be me making a fool of myself. Like for sure, this could be me completely falling flat on my face. Nobody's gonna come in for a hug, or nobody's gonna sit for coaching, and people will make fun of me, right? And lucky for me, I had a great coach at the time. And that coach said, like, so what? Like, make a fool of yourself. So what? People can make fun of you. So what? People can laugh at you and, make you feel like nobody cares. But so what? Like, and that is why I just did it anyway. All right. So Sharon says, I'll never forget. We just met at the bodega and I realized I didn't have any cash on me and I treated you to breakfast. I don't remember that, Sharon. That is so funny. Oh my God. Wait, did we met? Oh, wait. So we both were at the affiliate conference and then that bodega. It was the bodega across the street from the Hilton, right? I remember that was a good bodega. They used to have hot dishes. That was like one of the better bodegas that we had in New York City. Upper West Side. I think it was outside the Hilton. You remind me, Sharon. But I remember the bodega, but I don't remember getting you breakfast. But that is adorable. I'm very happy that I did that. Good, good. Yeah, that was like, I hope that bodega is still there. I was back in New York City in August, and there were so many good bagel places and bodegas that were gone. But I didn't look for that one. I forgot about that one because it's kind of hidden, right? You got to be like it's all the Hilton workers, and it's kind of like a little bit of a little industrial street. It's kind of hidden away. Like the people in the office buildings, they know about that place, but I don't know that anybody else does. The tourists are never in that one, which is good because we want it all to ourselves when we're in New York. But that conference, yeah, I don't know if are you still involved with Affiliate Summit? If you are, Sharon, and you talk to Sean, please give him my best. And you know who else I met there? Andrew Bennett. I love Andrew. We haven't talked in a while, but we stayed in touch. And remember Ad Hustler, Brandon? Brandon, I did free coaching at that affiliate summit initially thanks to Tim Ferriss, because Tim Ferriss in his 4-Hour Workbook, which of course I was one of his first 100 reviewers of that book. Tim actually asked me to write him a review. That's how unknown he was when I read his book. And in that 4-Hour Workbook, 4-Hour Work Week, he spoke to that he was going after bloggers. You're on Facebook. Okay, cool. Okay. I'm not on Facebook often, but I'll go there too to check this out. But Ferris said that he was making friends with all the bloggers who were helping to spread the word about the 4-Hour Work Week. That's how he got really put on the map. Ferris was because of that book and his relationship with bloggers. So the reason I was at the affiliate summit, Sharon, was because I knew that there were going to be. I was there for I think somebody I was doing some freelance work for, and I was like, where I knew there was a bloggers lounge, and I was like, oh, that's where I have to go. I met Gary Vaynerchuk there. That was Gary Vaynerchuk, Lewis Howes. Remember Lewis Howes and Gary Vaynerchuk? Look at them now; they're all so famous. They were all there. That's how far back it was, Sharon. You must have saw Lewis. Lewis was in affiliate marketing. This is way back when. And Gary Vaynerchuk, he was there. He spoke. He was not as famous as he is now. He still had the wine library, I think, at the time. Anyway, I went to the Bloggers Lounge and ultimately Gary Vee, yep, when he was the wine guy, totally. He was doing wine library at the time. Yep, yep. You're taking me back, Sharon. You're taking me back to the start of my entrepreneurship days. So, anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. So many amazing people. It's so cool to just, have seen them or known them, before they kind of blew up and then to see them blow up. Good guys. I love Lewis. He's such a authentic heart and does such a great job with all his interviews. And Gary, of course, he's the man. Gary and I talked before Gary came. I lived on the Upper East Side, and so did he. And I met him at the summit, and then we stayed in touch. I still have his phone number in my phone, believe it or not. Who knows if it's still connected? I haven't, sent him a message, but he was coming out with his book. What was his book? It was his second book. I think it was called. What was it called? It was a book kind of like trying to give people the courage. Yes, let's do it, Sharon. Let's definitely do it. So he had a book, kind of like a book that was to encourage people to do things they were afraid of. And I was like, look, this is a great book, Gary, but you got to also give people tools. I was trying to say, look, you should do some work with me at helping me to get the tools out there so people can do what you taught them in the book. Let's call Gary too. I think that's a good idea. Let's do it, Sharon. Let's do it. See if his phone number's still right. My phone. All right. So good to talk to you. I have to get off because I have other appointments today, but I'm so glad you were here. And I really hope for everybody watching that you guys found this, fun. And here, look, here's what the lesson is, right? Don't bring money to a bodega. No, I'm just kidding, Sharon. Or treat somebody you don't know to a bodega sandwich, and don't be afraid, right? Here's this connection that from how many years ago, right? And the connections there, and who knows what magic, Sharon, I am sure will create from this reconnection. But this is why it's so important to build relationships, build connections, because you never know when they're going to birth something completely new. Good. I'm glad. Yes, to all those things. So good to reconnect with you. Thank you for just, making me feel about, I don't know, 10, 15 years younger, girl. I feel a little bounce in my step. So thank you for that. All right. So before I call it a day, I just want to double check. Is there anybody who wants anything they want to get coached on? If there's anything you want to get coached on before I shut her down, just please let me know, because I certainly want to always end on that note. But I have been here a long time, but there were a lot of different directions today that were unexpected. So, all right, I didn't get any other brags from everybody here. So, in case anybody's new and you didn't hear me say this earlier, I do these almost weekly. It's possible I have to go to twice a month instead of 4 times a month, but I will have to figure that out. Just my schedule's been kind of packed lately. But if it happens, it's going to be on Thursdays, and it's going to always be about 8:15 Eastern time. So what happens in these conversations, they are up. This is a forum for you to bring things you want coaching on. For the most part, it's going to be a trading issue, but it can be on anything. And you put it in the chat box, and then I speak to it. I always try to come in with some specific kind of stories or lessons that I feel can serve you guys. But ultimately, this is a forum for you. I do it as a way of giving back. Of course, I have packages I would love for you to take a look at if you ever want to work with myself and my team. I have a video course for traders. I have an unusual assessment called the Trader Positioning Index, which is like an X-ray of what is going on for you on the professional side, on the personal side, that absolutely is impacting your trading. That assessment is pretty mind-blowing. And then I have small group coaching, and of course I do one-on-one. So yeah. Oh, Tilly Trader, I'm so glad you're here. It's so good to have you here. You are so welcome. It's my pleasure to do these. I love you guys. I believe in you guys. I know how hard you all work. I know how, dedicated and perseverant all of you are. And it's my hope that this just, puts a little bit of wind in your sails because it's lonely and it's a hard thing to take on. And ultimately, part of how you guys are going to get through this is if you have a community around you. So, my hope is at the very least, what this is going to do is facilitate one community. You can have a lot more than just this one. And I advocate and encourage you to try to get one. But the more you guys have support, emotional support, never mind, and you're trading, I want you to have the heart support because it can make or break you. And if you guys do listen to that X piece that I did with Pax yesterday, Matt Pax Kina, you are going to hear him talk about that support and how much it made a big difference to him. He talks about, he blew up with long term capital and, you know, his wife had his back and she was like, you will recover. You will make it back. You will, I don't believe in make it back, but like she was like, you can do this because this is who you are. And he was like, I don't know if I could have done that without that support, without her having that confidence. So it was a X piece yesterday, Sharon, and it is yesterday's X space. And I'm trying to remember the name, but I did a treat. I did an X space today, and I did one yesterday. Yesterday's. It's long, guys. I was with Pax for 3 hours yesterday. So I have two things happening. Pax and I did a 45-minute video interview, on Zoom camera. That'll drop probably next week. That was part one of the interview. It's a very deep conversation. He is so authentic. He is so honest, so sincere, so heartfelt. I can't say enough about him. I'm one of my clients actually told me, you got to have Pax on your podcast, Kim, because he's unbelievable. And he was right. Okay, so we do that. That'll drop next week. But then I asked him, would he be open to going over to an X space? We had 100, 125 people in the room the whole time. And everybody asked excellent questions. And Anthony Crudell came in an hour into it and he was there. So 2 hours and 25 minutes, but gold, guys, golden gems. Yes, for traders specifically, but even for non-traders. Anybody who's trying to make it in this world today is going to get something out of that conversation because they both have been to hell and back. They both have, navigated health stuff. They both are Anthony Crudele and Pax because they're very good friends. They both worked on the Chicago mercantile floor together. So they got stories and they got like wisdom and they got a sense of humor. I mean, I was just like, there was a part in the conversation, they two of them over the stories of this hog salesman that Crudele's telling everybody about. They were laughing so hard. They were like, so Pax was on video still with me from the Zoom call we did prior, right? We're on the X space, which is just audio, no camera. But Pax and I are still on camera with each other, even though we're on our phones. So I'm watching him, but like he practically had tears running down his face. He was laughing so hard over the stories of back in the day. So it's just a great, I mean, it's long, but it's worth it, guys. You got to listen to him. He has story after story. And if you want to look at Pax, I would also, you can look up on the Pax group, PAX. Anyway, what an incredible story he has. And for every trader, you're going to learn something from his journey. I promise you. A beautiful soul and an incredible, he's a legend, guys. He is truly a legend. So, all right, I'm going to shut her down. I don't see any other coaching requests coming in. This was really special today. I have to give a shout out to you, Jack. If you didn't speak about that beautiful gesture of buying somebody that food. Isn't that funny, Jack? Like, what's the theme of today? We have Jack who bought a meal for somebody that didn't have enough money for food. You know, the conversation, like being connected with people that we don't really like. I had just met Sharon, right? Like, what happens if we go out of our safety box? What happens if we find a connection with people that we don't really know? I'm not telling you to be foolish. I'm not saying it's going to always be perfect, but like this magical little reconnection here for me with Sharon, right? That's because of unexpected conversation from how many years ago in freaking New York City, right? I have some really good friends for all these years that I also met randomly in New York City on the streets of New York. Like, make connections, guys. The ones that don't work out, you can cut them, cut the cord, fine, let them go. But all the people that you will potentially, have a connection with, even if it's for a short time. And the same with you guys as traders. Let's get this community. Like, I would love for you guys when you come to this each time, like find a trader who's bragging or stretching or trying to improve themselves and connect with them. Like, I have a Discord room called the Trader Hero Journey. We're actually going to open that up to everybody. We're going to offer a free entry into it. We don't have that finished yet, but once we do, I'll put that in here so all of you guys can come into that Discord room and get to know each other and be there for each other, hold space for each other, help each other brag, help each other hold yourself accountable to the change you want to create for yourself, right? Like, and that's what impacts his favorite hashtag, and his what he tries to live by is what his bio. Where's his bio? I just had did I have it here? I just want to make sure I get it right because it was so perfect. I'm pretty sure it said, let me just think, it's a hashtag. It says, no one is alone or something like that. No one trades alone or something like that. If somebody is a fan of PAX, you guys know it, put it in the chat box. But that sense of not leaving anybody alone is his mantra. And that is what, I want it to be my mantra too. I'll tell him I want to I want him to copy. He probably copyrighted it, but I want to borrow it from him. That's the heart of what this room is about, guys. This space that I hold, it's because I don't want you guys to feel alone. And if you guys, the more you share in here about the challenges you have, do you guys notice the theme? Every time somebody's vulnerable, every time somebody puts something in the chat that they're like, oh, I did this and this happened and this happened, what happens? Does anybody remember? About 5 other people like, that, me too. Me too. I had that happen to me too. Yep, I know what that feels like. That sucks. I'm so sorry. Like, everybody goes through the same challenges, guys. Like, everybody, when it happens to you, you feel like you're the only one whose heart is broke, or the only one who made a bad trade, or the only one who broke, your word to yourself. Like, no, this is the human experience. Welcome to being human. One of my other teachers says we're just fuck ups. Like, we just fuck up all the time. But like, what are we resisting that for? That's how we get better. And that's, at the end of the day, what I hope all of us are doing. Nobody fights alone. Thank you. That's it. Melaza, thank you so much. I don't know how to pronounce your first name, but I am so happy you're here. That's it. Nobody fights alone. So I'm giving Pax credit for that. It's not mine, but I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm so glad you knew that, Melaza. Thank you so much for putting that in there. How powerful is that hashtag, huh? Where's her keeper of hashtags here? We have so many hashtags. I want to add this one, but it belongs to Pax probably. But I don't think he'll mind if we use it. But really, guys, like, doesn't that make you feel like you can handle anything, right? If you know you're not alone, like, it's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. So find somebody that looks like they are alone and be a contribution to them. Hopefully that's the takeaway today. Everybody needs somebody. And if you see somebody who doesn't have someone, be there for them. even if it's a small gesture, even if it's an egg, a fried egg sandwich, even if it's a hug, even if it's a meal, just try to be that contribution because, and Jack, you tell me if this is true, the other side of that is going to nourish you. It's going to enrich you. It's going to keep you holding on for the journeys and the dark days you have yourself because you'll have that to look back on and feel like, huh, I was able to maybe make a small difference in one person's life, right? And that has a lot of puts a lot of gas in your tank, guys. And at the end of the day, if you guys want to be traders for the long haul, you want to do this for decades, you're going to need a lot of gas in that tank. So, all right, I'm going to shut up and say aloha. And hopefully, I'll see you, if not next week, the week after. And I'm sending you guys so much good juju. And I hope you're kind to yourselves. And I hope you're kind to one another. And let's do a shout out to Pax that nobody fights alone. All right, alone.